Sadhguruji Pranam, we've been composing music for the last 23 years now as Shankar Ehsan Loy. One thing that's fascinated me is always been the concept of three. I see the association of the number three with various aspects like Newton, proton, electron, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and we are also three of us composing music. So, what is the relevance of three? What is the importance of three, and what is the effect of three?
Namaskaram to the Trimurtis of Shankar, Ehsan, Loy. Well, there are Trimurtis, Trinetra, Trishula, Trikala. All these things are evolution of ideas from the fundamental experience of human life. All human experience is rooted in these three things. Our memory belongs to the past, which is called as the Bhutakala. Our experience always is Vartamana or the present, and our imagination and aspirations are always of the future, which is Bhavishya. So essentially, human experience of life happens between memory, experience and imagination. Based on this, many aspects which spring from these three experiences were crystallized in our culture as three: Trinetra, Trikala, Trishula, and all of and you guys, Trimurtis. So this fundamental needs to be understood, that all these three dimensions exist in Vartaman. All this past and future actually exists now because it's only now that you can remember, it is only now that you can imagine. There's a whole lot of teaching going around in the world, particularly in United States, but I think it has also hit the western coast of India. People are going about talking, be in the moment, be in the moment. They are worshippers of the present. But I do not understand why somebody is telling you to be in the moment, because you cannot be anywhere else. Where else can you be? Can somebody show me where else they can be other than be in the moment? So we are anyway rooted in Vartaman, but our memories are of the past, our imaginations and aspirations are of the future. So essentially, people who worship only today, people who worship only the present, they are telling you just be in the moment, do not think about the past, do not think about the future. Well, it took millions of years to bring this level of cerebral capability for this brain to blossom like this, to be able to have a vivid sense of memory and a fantastic sense of imagination. It took millions of years of evolutionary work. But today, somebody is telling you, let's junk all that and be like an earthworm. I have nothing against earthworm, it's a very eco-friendly creature. But all this evolutionary work that has happened upon us to bring us to this level of cerebral capability should not be surrendered to some simple philosophy. The reason why people are saying this is because the only two fundamentals of people's misery is just this. People can suffer what happened 10 years ago. People can suffer what may happen day after tomorrow already. This means they are not suffering life, they are suffering their memory and their imagination, two most fantastic faculties that a human being has. It is these two faculties of vivid sense of memory and a fantastic sense of imagination which sets us apart from every other creature. This they want to surrender because they don't know how to handle their thought and emotion. If you could joyfully remember and with great exuberance and ecstasy imagine things, why would you want to surrender that? It is just that your memories and your imaginations have become compulsive and they're creating a world of misery. So people are talking about how to forget the past, how to not think about the future. This is not the way to conduct human life. It's very important. All these trikalas are there, the three dimensions, the trishulas are there, and trinetras are there, the three dimensions of seeing life and experiencing life is there. And we are very glad the Trimurtis of Shankar, Ishan and Loy are there. Please make some wonderful music.
Sadhguru, I want to know truth about our Indian caste system. How can we ensure more inclusiveness and equality?
Namaskaram, Viru. This system essentially began as division of labor. For a society to function, a certain number of people in the population must do variety of skills and artisans. Somebody should take care of administration, somebody should take care of education and spiritual process for the community. Like this, they made four basic divisions. Over a period of time, they became further and further divided, not essentially as a discriminatory process, but more as a division of labor. And also, we must understand in ancient times when there were no engineering schools and medical schools, if your father was a carpenter, you learnt carpentry at home from childhood and became a good carpenter. So skills were transmitted from generation to generation by maintaining this caste system. But unfortunately, somewhere along the way, a goldsmith starts thinking he's superior to a blacksmith. Though a blacksmith's work may be far more useful to the society than a goldsmith's, somehow one thinks he's superior to the other. And over generations, this superiority gets established, all kinds of exploitative processes happened, and it came to a place where caste system almost began to manifest itself, or it has manifested itself, like apartheid. Still in many villages in India, the people who are considered to be lower castes or what you call as Dalits, or don't even have basic human rights in many villages, though much has changed in the last 25-30 years, still many very horribly undesirable things keep happening in our country. The only way out of this is, one thing is, it's not relevant to these times because skills can be transmitted in many different ways. We have educational institutions, we have technological institutions. So this family transference of skills is not the way it is going anymore. But there is one context, that is of social security. People take care of their own clan and their caste, they will always reach out to people who are in trouble in their caste. This kind of social security is there. So it is very important that we bring a nationwide social security system and an education system which will transmit skills to everybody according to their aptitude. Once that happens, I think caste system will die a natural death.
Dearest Sadhguruji, I have a question for you. I'm a very emotional person and I often find it very difficult to emotionally detach myself from a situation that I know that is not good for me. Like I can see that this is not going somewhere where I want it to go, but it's very difficult to divert my mind and my emotions away from that. How do you think I can handle that situation? I would really like to know your perspective on it.
This is a whole lot of talk in the world about, the head and the heart business. But the way you think is the way you feel. And the way you feel is the way you think. For different people, different things run first. For some people, their thoughts, today largely because of the type of education, for most people, their thoughts run ahead of their emotions. But still there is a sizable percentage of people for whom their emotions run ahead of their thought. Now what Sonakshi is asking is, there are situations that you don't wish to be in, but emotions are tangled up. So thought keeps going there, unknowingly you keep walking in the direction. What you need to understand is, thought is agile. Today my thought says she is the most wonderful person. Tomorrow, if she does something that I don't like, immediately my thought says, she's no good. But if my emotions have gone ahead with this wonderful person, emotions are not that agile, they cannot turn around so quickly, it's little sappy, it takes time. In the meantime, you struggle because thought says this is not okay, but emotion is still entangled. Now what do I do about this? Don't try to control your emotions or thoughts, because the very nature of your mind is such that I don't want to think about this person means that's the only person I'm going to think about for the rest of my life. So, when compulsive thoughts and emotions come, first and foremost thing that you do is, you simply see them for what they are. You don't try to resist them. The moment you resist, they will multiply. In this mind, you don't have subtraction and division, you only have addition and multiplication. So, what you need to do, one thing is, just understand that thought and emotion are just a recycle of the data that is already there, something that you remember. It is just that memory is little smelly, it just keeps coming. You just have to see it like that, little distance from that. It is like you were jammed in a traffic jam, you were going to the airport, you got stuck in a traffic jam, how much anxiety and struggle you had. Then somehow you got there and then you got into the airplane and you took off. From up there when you look down, how nice the traffic jam looks, you know? Simply because there is a little distance. Still the same traffic jam, but because there is a distance, suddenly there is nothing to it. Similarly with your thought and emotion, a little bit of practice to create a little distance from your physiological processes and your psychological processes come. But if you try to handle individual thought and emotion, they will multiply thousandfold.
Namaskaram, this is Mithali Raj. Sadhguru ji, I want to know the truth about where and how can we acquire strength to ignore opinions popping against us every day.
Namaskaram, Mithali. I hear that you're a great hitter of the ball. Just keep hitting the ball and everybody's opinion will change. People have their opinions about everything, but why should it matter to you or anybody? Because other people's opinion will matter to us only when we are not very clear about what we are doing. So instead of trying to battle with other people's opinion, it's best that we strive to create clarity as to what we are doing and why we are doing what we are doing. If this clarity arises within us, other people's opinion will not matter. But will people not have opinions about us? They will have. It is their right to have their opinions. It is like ಬೆಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಮನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಮೃಗಗಳಿಗಂಜಿದಂತೆ, ಸಂತೆಯಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಮನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಶಬ್ದಗಂಜಿದಂತೆ, ಊರಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಮನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾತಿಗಂಜಿದಂತೆ. What this means is, you build a house in the mountains and in the jungle, now you're afraid of the animals. You shouldn't have been there. Now you built a home in the marketplace and you're afraid of the noises of the marketplace. That's not the right place for you to be. Now you are living in a society and you're afraid of what other people say. No, this is part of social life. Somebody will always say something. Well, today it is magnified because of social media, but forever people have been having opinions. At one time you had to battle with just 2 or 3 or 5 people's opinions. Today you have to battle with 5 million people's opinions because they're all out there expressing themselves. It's perfectly fine, they can say what they want, but the most important thing is to bring absolute sense of clarity into our lives as to what are we doing and why are we doing what we're doing. If this is clear to us, opinions will fly and opinions will change. You just hit the ball well, you will see everybody's opinions will change